Atlanta Motor Speedway. Friday night, the trucks are running. Pole for Sunday's 500-miler, Jeff Gordon. And that's just a couple days after that 50G hit he took at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, one of the hardest of his career. He's already talked to Bruton Smith, the track owner, and Chris Powell, who runs the track for Bruton. They both assured him they're going to do everything it takes to fix that particular problem on the back. NASCAR's done a great job over the last 7 years since Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s death, and that was one reason that Jeff Gordon was able to walk away from a very, very bad crash. Bad angle, bad location on the track, walks away and he's on the pole tonight. 185 miles an hour. On the outside, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the guy that came in second last week. That's Rick Hendrick, 1 and 2 for Sunday's 500. And Chevrolet hasn't won in a while. About time. Hendrick hasn't done much. Jeff Gordon, 2 DNFs in the year's first 3 races. He's 22nd in the points, over 200 points down. Of course, it's too early, he says, to worry too much about points, but I'd rather be 200 points up than 200 points down. It was even raining during qualifying. Carl Edwards went out there and said, I'm no meteorologist, but the Weather Channel tells me this is rain. Qualified 4th fastest. Not bad under the pressure. What I saw, Carl Busch was 6th. And he's got a good shot at doing something. But I don't think the Toyotas had their intermediate track engine program up to snuff. Talked to Lee White about that. He says when they put him on the chassis dyno, I thought it was going to be here, but I'm hearing now it might not be till April at Texas. He says you're going to see that the Toyotas really aren't at an advantage over anybody on the medium-sized tracks. And so far, that's what we've seen. So far, we've seen Jack Roush. But the big story today, Jack Roush versus Lee White. Ford versus Toyota. Jack Roush, 2 wins. California and Las Vegas, tainted. NASCAR says Carl Edwards cheated to win Las Vegas. Jack Roush says, I will take a polygraph test. My guys will take a polygraph test. We did nothing wrong. I'm as pure as the driven snow. And then I thought he winked. I'm not sure. Lee White says he knows exactly what the deal is. The wind tunnel shows, the wind tunnel in Germany, the rolling road wind tunnel shows that the chimney effect by leaving the lid off the metal box around the oil cooler that sits right behind is worth about 150 pounds of downforce. You get the chimney effect. It's open at the bottom, air from under the car goes up through this box right behind the driver, and if it is vented out of the cockpit, you can gain as much as 200, maybe even more, pounds of downforce on a car that only has 1,200 pounds of downforce. The car tomorrow has very little downforce. It was designed that way. Why? I don't know. I didn't design it. I wouldn't have designed it at all. To me, you get better racing when you've got more downforce. But NASCAR took downforce away. So what we've got now is teams going to the wind tunnel trying to figure out ways to get more downforce. If you can get 200 pounds of downforce, man, that's like sucking air around a carburetor plate at Daytona. 50 horsepower is what Lee White says. Lee White, a good guy, used to work for Jack Roush. They won 20 championships in all these different divisions back in the 80s when they were together. He's running the Toyota program now, and he spilled the beans on Jack. He said, I talked to Dale Earnhardt Jr. about the Las Vegas race. He came in second. He said, I don't know if I could have beaten Carl even if his car was straight up. Carl was strong. Everybody will admit Carl was strong. What I liked about Dale Jr. was he says, I admire those guys. Hey, they pushed the button. They pushed the rules. Hey, I'd have done the same thing. I'm just sorry that our guys didn't do the same thing. Dale Jr. says that what Jack is saying, that the bolts broke because of harmonic vibrations or whatever, he calls it comical. He doesn't buy it. Nobody else in the garage bought it. Usually when somebody gets caught, there are a couple of guys that come to their defense. Nobody came to Jack's defense. I'm sorry. They just don't believe it. They think he's guilty. In fact, a lot of the guys I talked to said the penalty, 100 points, $100,000, 6-week suspension, they say that's too light. They say 200 points. J.J. Yaley said, take the win away. Make Carl Edwards 43rd. And he goes to it. And he might be right. Uniformly, everybody I talked to in the garage said, Jack, Carl, Bob, guilty, hang them. Jack says, hey, I might appeal, I might not. I don't know yet. He's not going to appeal. He's already put Bob Osborne, his crew chief, on suspension. To me, that looks like he's guilty. Or Jack is at least saying he's guilty. He's going to drag it out for a few more days and then probably say, I'm not going to do it because of the appeal system. The appeal system is wrong. NASCAR's system of justice is wrong. That's one thing, the big picture that we need to look at in this case. We're looking at the small pieces, the parts of the puzzle that put together in the car. That's not the story here. The story here is the NASCAR system of justice, and it's not right. It's uneven. It doesn't balance the playing field. The car tomorrow does not balance the playing field. NASCAR, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've got a screw loose. There's something going wrong in NASCAR. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But they were supposed to keep a low profile. The best official is the one you never notice. All of a sudden, they're making headlines. They're making headlines, and for a lot of the wrong reasons. It's good to make a call to get everybody right. They've made a lot of bad calls. The Robbie Gordon call, terrible call. Made no sense at all. No sense at all. $150,000 fine, the biggest in NASCAR history. Cheater, it says to me. You want to get a sponsor? You want to sponsor Robbie Gordon when he's labeled as a cheater by NASCAR? NASCAR is using the media. NASCAR is using the media to met out its own punishment. They've done that for years. That doesn't mean that everybody has to play the game. I'm calling NASCAR on that. They're wrong on the Robbie Gordon thing, and I'm not so sure they're playing the cards right in the Jack Roush thing. It's not good for the sport the way they're handling it. But Carl Edwards says there's a simple way to decide the Las Vegas story. Everybody suit back up, hire a flagman, let's go back to Las Vegas on Monday. Hey, we got a couple days off before we go to Bristol. Run another 400 miles. He'll show them he doesn't need this trick stuff to win. And he might not. In fact, he might be the guy to beat Sunday. In fact, I am looking at Sunday's 500 here as Dale Earnhardt Jr. versus Carl Edwards. Again, don't know how it's going to work. Carl Edwards loves this place. I remember the time he won, tires falling off his car, shredding coming off the fourth turn, and he's gunning it down the front stretch to win. In a photo finish, the guy likes this track. I like Carl Edwards. He's got good style. He's got spunk. He doesn't need tricks to win. He could win if he tied one hand behind his back. Now, the best defense is a good offense, and Jack was on the offense today. Lee White, he was getting chewed out by a lot of people. Toyota is a very conservative company. They don't like guys getting out front like he did. He laid it right out. Nobody else was brave enough to. Lee White did it and said it exactly the way he saw it. I applaud him for that. But he got chewed out. Got chewed out by Toyota. Got chewed out by NASCAR. But Jack was on the offensive. Jack had press conference after press conference after press conference. He was talking here, talking there. He had the parts. He had the pieces. Polygraph test this guy. Polygraph test that guy. Polygraph test, polygraph test, polygraph test. Okay, Jack, let's do a polygraph test, okay? I'm going to call him on that. I want to see the results. It's safety. It's safety. NASCAR's right to crack down. NASCAR's right to make a point of the safety issues. But I think they need to sit back and look at the bigger picture. I think they need to look at their system of justice, this committee. They need, and Jack said this, a jury of peers, like we use every day. If I'm up for murder charges, you can come into my courtroom and watch me and watch the evidence and make your own judgment. If I'm guilty of using a trick piece on my race car, I'm sorry, that's somewhere secret on a Tuesday afternoon. You don't know anything except what I release. The real story is the big picture, not the little picture. Guys cheat all the time in this sport. They've been cheating for 50, 60 years. That's not the story. The story is, how does NASCAR handle that? I don't think they're doing a very good job the last 2 weeks. I think they need to sit down and look in the mirror and say, are we doing the best thing we can for this sport? Do we need to re-examine how we're handling situations like this? And I think things might change. That's the report. From Atlanta Motor Speedway, Mike Mulhern. Friday night, NASCAR for the Journal and JournalNow.com.